For Honor's a good game, and that's the word I would use. Good. Not great, not bad, just good. But it's only a couple of steps away from being the great game it has the potential to be. And I say potential for a reason. The current gaming landscape is forever changing, especially in multiplayer games. So I have a lot of confidence that Ubisoft will fix many of the issues I present in this video. And that's fine, great even. But this is the current state of the game, so I'll be judging it based on that fact. In this video I won't be talking about the single player campaign. If Ubisoft don't want to put any time or effort into their single player, neither will I.
We need to regroup with the Vanguard.
For Honor has one of the most innovative combat systems in modern gaming. A third-person action game with combat mechanics usually seen in fighting games. This gives it much more depth than it appears to have on the surface. And this is the first issue I'm going to touch on. This game is deep, like ocean deep. Like head being crushed under the enormous weight of a charging Shigoki deep. This new what I'm going to call radial blocking system is a truly innovative mechanic. It works similarly to games like War of the Roses and Mount and Blade, but feels much more responsive, intuitive and welcoming to new players. Incoming attacks are easy to read as they're telegraphed both in character movements and the chevrons in the centre of the screen. If your enemy chooses the same side as you, they'll block the incoming attack. There are also guard breaks, unblockable moves, stun attacks and other details in the combat system, but I feel the game fails to present it in this way, or teach you its many intricacies in the main practice mode. The practice mode that's currently in the game teaches you the basic mechanics of the game, like how to move, attack and defend basic attacks. And that's all. It leaves you to jump into the multiplayer only to have your head caved in by players that have played the advanced tutorial and watched the advanced character tutorials that are hidden away behind the menus because the matchmaking is bought. I don't know if this was just a launch issue or if it's been resolved now, but we'll come back to that later. The advanced tutorial teaches you some of the most important mechanics of the game. Parries, counter guard breaking, external blocking and revenge mode. And with the current state of the game's meta, which I'll be speaking about later, these things are crucial to your success. At the very least, this should be included in the main practice mode to give new players some idea of what to expect when heading into the multiplayer for the first time. Currently the advanced tutorial teaches you counter guard breaking and parrying incorrectly. I don't know if this is due to online latency or an oversight, but currently it tells you to counter guard break your enemy by pressing square as they do it. This is incorrect. You have to wait for their character to make contact with yours, and there's an audible cue when you can counter. I can even do it with my eyes closed. It also says to press R2 to parry your opponent when the chevron thing flashes. This is slightly more accurate but still wrong. You can press it before it flashes and still be successful. Although these issues are not game breaking and you'll quickly learn the correct way to handle these mechanics, they do show an underlying theme to the design process of the game. It feels like it was made by two different teams that didn't communicate while the game was in development. Not to go too Joseph Anderson on you, but again, more on that later. Issues like this start players off with a bad taste in their mouth, leading to early frustration like I had, since I felt the game was cheating me, but I just didn't understand the mechanics. But unlike some people, I pushed through the initial frustration of the neck-breaking learning curve and found my footing. This was in the closed beta. I was playing as the Raider, having a great time in the 1v1 and 2v2 brawls, but didn't play much of the Minion mode. I felt myself getting better and better. This is the best part of For Honor, the bit that I love the most, the personal progression. As you play the game, you'll feel yourself getting better, learning the true nuance of your main character, and developing an appreciation for the combat system. I then started playing the flagship mode of the game, Minion, and was having a great time. This lasted all the way up until the end of the open beta. Right at the end until the meta seemed to take a turn. People stopped fighting 1 versus 1, and team fights became way more common. 3 or 4v1 ganks were the only fights I could seem to get, with characters like Peacekeeper, Orochi and Nobushi being the worst offenders. I didn't understand why these characters were so dominant, so I began to play Nobushi and it became obvious. These characters have both high speed and high damage, so they're able to get in and out of fights quickly and deal a lot of damage. They also have the highest sprint stats, so if they run away they can't be punished for it, as the stamina bar does not hinder their ability to sprint. They actually gain stamina while sprinting. Yes, gain stamina while sprinting. As ridiculous as it sounds, it's necessary for escaping from group fights, which will be next to impossible if you lost stamina while sprinting instead. I'm so low on health.
Yeah, they just ganged up on me and stunned. That Orochi shit.
Oh shit, someone came up behind me.
Noticed me.
What the fuck is happening?
No one's coming to help you, bro.
I'm dead.
Jump down, maybe.
Oh my god, I just killed 2 of them.
I just saw 2 blues pop up. I'm dead, and then 2 blues popped up. I'm nearly there.
I did it! I killed them all! I did it!
Yeah.
I did it!
How did you kill them?
Oh boy! The way it currently works can allow for the characters previously mentioned being able to run away indefinitely and run the clock down. This will still lead to a loss if your team has more players alive in the 4v4 mode and the 1v1 arenas are too small for this in the first place, but it's still frustrating that this is even possible. This change in the meta is when some of the game's balance problems started to rear their heads. For Honor is mostly balanced. Mostly. While I do believe that most of the characters are balanced in the 1v1 mode, when it comes to the 4v4 mode, some of the characters are as balanced as a seesaw with a fat kid on one side and Casper on the other. And that's without even taking gear stats into consideration. Here's one example. The character I'm playing at the moment with over 50 hours in the main game, Valkyrie, has a combination of moves that can be used after a guard break. Both moves are avoidable, and if they do hit, they literally do 0 damage. But they put the opponent on the floor, allowing you to get one light attack, or if they land close enough, you get a heavy attack. On the other hand, Orochi has a move that in all fairness is predictable, but can still catch you if you make a mistake, which can then be followed up by 2 hits that are completely unavoidable. I know that Valkyrie's getting a buff in the coming weeks, but like I said at the beginning, I'm looking at the current state of the game. Ubisoft Montreal believes that this is balanced since Orochi and the other assassin style characters have a block which they have to time in order to do successfully, which would have probably been fine, but then they gave all of these characters quick dashes so they don't even have to block. All of these dodges can usually be followed up by counter attacks. This doesn't mean they're unbeatable, it just means that when you approach mid-level players that use these characters, you'll have to learn a completely new, much more defensive playstyle. And this is where I feel I currently sit 50 hours in. I can confidently take on the counter-attacking players, and I'm once again winning the majority of my 1v1 fights. But I brought up the feeling of a lack of cohesion in the game's development. The 1v1 fighting mechanics and the group fighting mechanics feel like they were created by 2 completely different teams, one extremely talented and the other one that still writes with crayons. All of the skill, patience, coordination, quick thinking goes out the window when you jump into the 4v4 game modes. I'll start with Elimination, as I think this one suffers the least, if you're not up against someone that runs away, picks up power-ups and then rushes down your teammates, that is. Elimination can be fun, but only for the same reasons that 1v1s are. It feels really shallow aside from the power-ups. These include sprint speed, armor, damage, health, and an instant unlock for all your feats for a short time. Feats are an in-match leveling system. You have 4 tiers of feats. You get these by earning renown during a match. Each character archetype earns renown for different things. Assassin earn more for winning 1v1s, and defensive characters earn more for defending objectives. Unlocking one of these feats will grant you either a passive ability or an active, usually damage dealing ability or trap. These are a nice addition to the 4v4 game modes and always feel rewarding to unlock, although I do feel like the defensive characters can unlock theirs slightly too quickly. Back to the power-ups. These only make the 1v1 fights in Elimination worse, as the other player gets a massive advantage if they happen to get one mid-fight or spawn right next to one. This leaves them for the group fights, but like I said, the group fights are just a clusterfuck of R2 and unblockable attack spam, with no depth and little fun to be had. Speaking of clusterfucks of R2 and unblockable spam, we have Skirmish. This game mode is complete shit. Irredeemable arse butter. Both teams spawn together and they make their way to one part of the map and the fight starts there. This is usually right next to an instant kill cliff that you'll be thrown off of multiple times, as at the moment guard breaks are not working as intended. This has been stated by Ubisoft themselves and they'll be patching this later, but like I said, I'll be judging the game now. Characters like the Lawbringer, Raider and Warlord are designed to throw people off these instant kill ledges. Inherently, this isn't a problem, as in the scenarios where this is not possible, these characters are like a fish out of water. But when near these sometimes 3-foot falls of doom that are everywhere around the map, they only have to press square and then throw your ass off like Rosa Parks. Speaking of getting thrown off, peer-to-peer online matchmaking is a joke in 2017. Dedicated servers should be a standard for AAA games. I'm routinely kicked out of games where I have to sit and wait while the game resynchronizes the players, only to have one of the other players disconnect and have to go through it all again. I believe this is an issue that will never be fixed. It isn't 2010 anymore. Host migration should have been left back in Modern Warfare 2. Back to the issues with guard breaking. This will be much less of an issue if the guard break counter was working correctly. After some testing, these are the results I've gathered of when you can and cannot guard break counter. Cannot. After attacking and missing, after dashing, if you guard break at similar times but theirs hits first, after some moves that can be cancelled into guard breaks. Can. When standing completely still taking in the scenery. You should be able to counter it at any point that they use it.
I should know that that one doesn't give me the hit.
He couldn't throw me off, so he just run. He's literally just run off.
Yeah, they both did that. We ran away in the first place and then came back with the Lawbringer.
You fucking pum. You're nothing!
He just literally spams the same stuff over and over. Look at this guy. Look at this game, Kwame, man.
I'm telling you, bruv. I'm telling you. Revenge, you fucking bitch.
What is it? They haven't even attacked, they've just pressed square.
Exactly, that's what I'm fighting right fucking now. And I'm countering it. I'm just countering it. I'm just. Oh my god, man.
What is this game, Kwame, man?
It gives bad players way too much power, as they'll sit right next to edges and continuously press square until you or the game makes a mistake. Then you're dead instantly. I'll come back to the game making mistakes shortly.
Looks like they want us to hit them.
The final 4v4 game mode is the Minion. This is a capture and hold the point style game mode, which also suffers from the game not telling you how to actually play it. Capturing enemy objective is not as important as holding your own, since losing your objective only gives the enemy team renown. It will put them 100 points ahead of you on the scoreboard, but when the objective is lost, so are the points. But when you're holding objective, you gain +1 per tick, and if someone's in the objective, you gain +2. These points are permanent, and the player in the objective will gain renown at the same rate. The game never tells you this, and you're left running around chasing objectives, and this leads to the 4v1 scenarios I was talking about earlier. You know, the one that the Glue Eaters designed. Once again, this brings frustration and basically kills the game mode. In every Dominion map, there's one objective that AI soldiers will fight over. This is a cool idea taken from games like League of Legends and Dota, but I don't think they took it far enough, as the capture point just becomes a brawl between all of the players and soldiers, which, by the way, if your health is low enough, can just kill you. There even needs to be more objectives so the teams have to split up more to capture them all, or a lane style system that will ensure most of the fights will be 1v1 or 2v2, and the ganks will be risk-reward planned moves to gain ground, not just the ideal way to play the game mode. All of the issues I've brought up are all dwarfed by my main issue in the game. Being only reputation 1 with 2 characters, I mostly only have common gear and rare gear around level 20. The gear system in the game works by putting up one of your stats while putting down one of your others. The rarer gear, the higher the stat, and the lower the stat. This should ensure that players with higher gear won't just have better characters than lower level players, but this doesn't work due to the revenge system I mentioned earlier. The revenge meter builds during any fight, but builds much faster if the fight is against multiple opponents. It increases when you're hit, when you block, when you dodge, and when you attack. But the revenge stat is also affected by gear, and depending on the gear, you can build your revenge meter ridiculously quickly. I've seen high level players come out of revenge mode only to have it back 2 hits later with more health and attack.
Yeah, I'm telling you, broken. He's got comments for it, guys.
And he just finished revenge, man.
I don't know how the matchmaking works, but I'm constantly up against people who are reputation 4 or 5 with a gear level of 85 to 100. This needs to be fixed. There either needs to be an option to play without gear in the 4v4s, as it doesn't affect the 1v1 modes, or get some better matchmaking.
High level, I forgot.
Why did this Orochi came back now that you're gone? Like, he's like, now I've got you.
I'm sick of coming up against players who are 90, 100 levels higher than me. I just can't beat them. They just take more damage than and deal more damage than me.
From distance, them guys are just feeding him revenge. He's got fucking full health. He's getting health for every kill, and he's just okay. Oh, he's got revenge again. He had.
He's got revenge again. He had.
No health left.
I'm going to play more for Honor, probably a lot more, but I can already see the problems with the higher tiers of play. After speaking to a few high level players on Reddit, my suspicions were confirmed. When I was talking about character balance earlier, I said I overcame the counter-attacker players, and this is true to an extent. I've noticed that many of my one-on-ones have become staring contests with my opponent until one of us attacks and then the other counters. This is what the Reddit community is saying is the main issue with high level play at the moment. As I'm not there yet, and probably never will be, I can't comment on this at this time. But if this is what the game's going to become, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to stay with it. In 6 months to a year, I have no doubt that the game will be bigger and better with more characters, maps, and fixes to the issues I currently have with the game. But as it stands on patch 1.02, For Honor is a good, not quite great game. And that pains me to say. If you enjoyed the critique, be sure to hit the like button or subscribe if you want to see more. If you're a new For Honor player, click the video on the left, it will take you to one of the character guides I've made. But for now, peace!